Hey there, viewers! A Transformers fan or Charlie Young back again with another Transformers review. And today's review is going to be on Studio Series 86 Astrotrain. Yep. Now, this is a really infamous figure. Like, seriously, even I was hesitant to buy this thing, but, well, one thing alone made me want to get this. The fact that he's a train. Yeah, I'm a bit of a train lover, if that makes any sense. So I bought this for the train mode. So, yeah. But anyway, before we move on to the figure, of course, we've got the box to look at. And just before I move on, if this video sounds any different, I recently got a new microphone. So, does that sound any good? Yeah, no? But anyway, looking at the box. Of course, we've got the standard U-Star Studio Series box. So here we've got Astrotrain in all three modes, including the train mode. Of course, got his name right there. The Transformers the movie. 29 steps to go into train mode and 16 steps to go into the shuttle mode. This side, we've got a picture of Astrotrain. This side, we just have more of the scene. The back, we got some in all three modes, so put the shuttle mode right there. Train mode, which looks pretty cool. It's even got a steam cloud and oh dear, Primus. So yeah, this caused a lot of backlash because I mean, just look at the arms. Those things are fucking thin. But anyway, so here we've got the train modes. I've seen in the film. That's what he does in the film, because he does play a sort of big role, because, you know, he tells him to jettison some weights. Starscream literally ejects Megatron, and that's how Unicron finds him, and that's how we get Galvatron. So he is sort of integral to a bit of the film. So yeah. But that's pretty much it for the box. Now, moving on to the actual figure. Well, I decided to start in shuttle mode because, honestly, it's the least exciting out of all the modes. Because, yeah, this was the mode that Megatron was ejected out of, but really, the other modes have more to talk about, especially the robot mode. But with this mode, well, definitely a space shuttle. So the front, we've got the little cockpit here, we've got the Decepticon symbol printed on. We have this square, which is on the, I'm pretty sure it's on the Siege version as well. Oh yeah. The back kind of falls apart because it's all broken up. You know, these bits are going to be the front wheels in the train mode. We literally have about the train mode just peeking through. And then it's clear to see that this is the back of the train modes. So, yeah. But the wings are pretty cool. So, like that. We do have landing gear. These front ones here. You sort of have some wheels in the wings. And this big rolly wheel right here. So that counts as landing gear. And the underneath, which, yeah, for the shuttle mode is pretty fine. Except we do have some visible train wheels. So, yeah. Now, for accessories, well, we pretty much get these two guns. So we get a little gun right here. It'll focus. There we go. And we get this bigger gun, which is like the original toy. So yeah. But also, we get these 3 blast effects. It's pretty cool. My phone just does not want to focus. And this steam cloud. Now, this is pretty much entirely for the train mode, so I'll come back to this later. But for these little bits, well, we can obviously plug these onto the guns, it looks like. I might be wrong. No. Okay, so these are more hard plastic. You can hear that. Like, these are much more like harder plastic. Like, it still bends, but the tips are a lot harder than this bit here. So they kind of struggle to go on, but this still can't take blast effects. But they can still fit on this gun. But really, their main purpose is to fit on the boosters here. That's pretty cool. Ugh, come on. There we go. So we got that going on. And then for these 2 guns, we got some ports right here. So these can just plug onto the sides. Ugh. That's pretty much some of all the accessories, apart from the steam cloud. That's for train mode. So yeah. And overall, that's pretty much it for the shuttle mode. So, putting him with some other figures. Here's the Titan's Return Astrotrain. And this shuttle mode is, honestly, this looks just more like a Cybertronian spaceship, which, to be fair, Titan's Return wasn't really about recreating the characters one-to-one. It was more like new interpretations, because that's what Generations and Classics were for most of its run. Really recently, they started going full-on G1 accuracy, so this is more like a Cybertronian gunship, to be honest. Plus, we can see this is more toy colors. This is definitely show colors. And while I don't have Siege Astrotrain, I do have the molds as Galaxy Shuttle. So, curious with Galaxy Shuttle. Because I think there's a lot of people who definitely prefer the Siege mold because, I mean, yeah, it's a lot more bulbous looking here, but honestly, the Siege figure did a really good job of portraying Astrotrain. So, yeah. Honestly, I kind of prefer how the Siege one looks, or in this case, Galaxy Shuttle, but I prefer how the Siege figure looks. Because, like, it's not got that broken up bit here, for example. So, yeah. So, shuttle mode, I definitely prefer the Siege figure. And I guess, why not? Here's classics. Not really much to say, although it's funny how the classics one, like, that's one of the first classics, but that's one of the first Chug figures. So, plus, it's funny how that shuttle mode's literally got half of a bullet train on each side. So, yeah. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the shuttle modes. So, just taking these off. Come on. let's move on to the other alternate modes. So, the transformation to train mode is honestly like there's parts that are similar to the Siege version, but it's mostly original, and there's one part in particular I don't really like. That being this bit right here. It's more annoying going from robot to train mode, but yeah, I'm not really a big fan of these panels here. But anyway, to start off, what I'm going to do is just flip the entire shuttle mode around. Then I'm just going to take what's going to be the train cab and just try and tab this. In fact, also these gray bits on the wings, you want to flip those in. There we go. So you want to move this up, and this whole wing section will, I guess, coordinate out as more for transformation. And here you can already see the front of the train mode right there. Now the tail fin is going to move into this little crevice here in between the arms. Now, just going to untab these bits here. And these will just spin around down like so, and they form the front wheels. Now we can take the landing gear and flip them in. Now this step I actually missed when I first transformed this guy, and that was completely me being stupid. There we go, bend it like that, bend the legs. And that's going to allow the front wheels to clip into these front bits here. And they can also clip into the back bit here, although on my copy it doesn't seem to like doing that. Why, I have no idea. But you just want to get everything nice and clipped in. There we go. Normally on my copy, there's like a bit that just never wants to stay in. And right now, the entire left side is just not tabbing in. Close enough. On my copy, this just refuses to tab in, so it's kind of crappy, but oh well. Anyway, so in the shuttle mode, it was like this, so just going to coordinate this out, spin this entire apparatus around, I guess. That's going to move down. These bits here, these are going to unclip from these bits here. So we've got the back wheels. I like to move this down first and then spin the wheels around just so I got clearance. And then we can close up the wings. These will tab into these bits right here. And of course, because I'm recording, this whole fucking thing came off. That's the whole joy of recording. So you just want to try and get these closed up. There we go, and these will tab into place. These little pebble bits will move up. And one thing I've noticed about the train mode is, at least on my copy, your copy, if you have this figure, like, the train mode might be a lot better for you, but on my copy, it just does not like to tab in whatsoever. But anyway, so we just want to connect the two side rods together, like that. Again, this is very fiddly to do, probably because the wheels are constantly turning. There we go. So you want to try and like tie these bits together, and then just connect the side rods. And then normally these are also supposed to connect with each other, but when I do that, it just causes every single tab to just unconnect, and I have no idea how or why it does that. This figure is just allergic to stay together for me. But anyway, final step is just closing this up. Goes into these little bits here. And well, here we have the trade mode. And well, this is the mode I bought this for, so yeah. Okay, having a quick look over to see if I got everything right. I'm pretty sure I have, and well, okay, as a huge train fan, this is actually meant to be the D51. Although this version seems to take a lot of heavy liberties. For example, this one seems to be an 080 for some reason, which I guess that does make sense. Although I would have appreciated if there was like some little wheels in the back here to maybe help balance it a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, let's look at the details. So of course here we have the smoke box door, which has a T on it. Well, that is film accurate. Sort of see it there. We also have the little headlight there. Or, not headlight. But the little lamp. Got smoke deflectors with Decepticon symbols on them, which is pretty cool. But a funnel, or smoke stack, whatever you call it in your country, but here it's got a funnel. But it's pretty small. I guess that does make sense. That way it doesn't like clash with the transformation. Of course, got the wheels with the side rods. Got the cab. And normally there'd be a tender, but instead we just have the boosters, which is pretty cool. And a pretty nice touch. This actually does open up so you can reference the Decepticons like running inside the train before he transforms into shuttle mode. That's a pretty nice reference. Got the front here, which I guess that I was gonna say like I wish there's like buffers here, but I don't think the D51 had that. I'm thinking of Hero from Thomas and Friends. Hey, that'd be a funny custom idea. Now, one neat thing that this Tremo can do, as you can see, I put it on, it doesn't work 100%, but you can see as the wheels move, the side rods also move. And that is pretty cool. It does occasionally stick, but come on, that's pretty cool. They managed to engineer it so the side rods or coupling rods, whatever, the side rods can actually work. On this side, however, it gets stuck a lot more often. Yeah, you can see on my copy, this side seems to get stuck quite a bit. But still, I quite like how they engineered that. And I think this was the mode that they had in mind when designing this figure. So, yeah. So, giving him all the accessories. Of course, we've got the guns, which go on the side. Or there's ports on top, but the main reason for these ports, got this huge smoke cloud, so we can just plump that into the funnel, and then there's another one that goes in the cab roof for stability. And now it actually just looks like he's puffing along. Well, not the wheels are sticking, but so yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty much useless in the other modes, but like for a train nerd like me, this is really cool. So yeah. And well, putting him with Titan's Return, we can see that they had an entirely different type of train in mind with this guy. That, like, this is a D51. This is like, I don't know what the type of train it's called, but like, here's a picture of it. That's what this reminds me of, like a heavily armored version of that. If anything, this reminds me of like those tank levels in Mario 3. And I think it's because this is also the same mold used for Sentinel Prime. That's probably why the train mode is so off, like, pardon the pun, off the rails here. So, yeah. But anyway, next up, Galaxy Shuttle or Siege Astrotrain, who, honestly, again, I think has a nicer looking train mode. And I say that because the front bit with the smoke box, like that actually looks more like a D51 if I'm being honest. Again, sorry I am nerding out here, but it's got this bit by the front like headlamp that D51s have. The funnel looks like an actual funnel, not just a little circle. It looks like an actual D51 smoke box door with the rectangle where it has the engine number on it. Only thing is, compared to the rest of the engine, it's tiny. It's like a saddle tank engine. And I do kind of miss the side rods, but we do still have rolling wheels. In fact, this guy also had a tender, kind of an industrial looking tender, but a tender nonetheless, which opened up to be like a weapons platform, or for the shuttle mode, a launching pad. This guy, officially at least, we don't have a tender because, I mean, Astrotrain didn't have one in the show, but I think there is a third party company that's making an upgrade kit that does give him a tender. There's that. And for shits and giggles, here is with a certain other familiar train. So, yeah. So, there's that. And I guess, why not? Here's Classics Astrotrain, who, just like Titan's Return, was an entirely different train altogether, because, well, Classics was when they were reinventing G1 rather than just remaking it. So he was a bullet train. It kind of would be cool to have another bullet train transformer. Like, maybe give us a new rail racer. But anyway, I think it's about time we fully move on to the transformation to robot mode here. So, the transformation to robot mode, honestly, well, let's just do it. So to start, I'm just going to transform the wings again. So hold on these purple bits. Disconnect the front wheels from the back wheels. I lift the back of the cab up. Fold out the wings, and then these can just spin around and tab into here again. And like you can hear an audible click as you do this. So there we go. And now we can just leave that. Now these front wheels, which refuse to tab in, well, these are just going to move around and down, like so. This entire section is just going to move up and cover the cockpit. And might as well just get the feet out of the way for now. There we go, so that's the feet all done. And now we have to try and get these all like there we go, so try and move that to the back. Then this will tab in. On. Yeah, often this refuses to tab in, so I'm just going to. There we go. And we do the same here, so just try and rotate this. This goes to the back, and then this just tabs in. Come on. There we go. Sometimes moving the sideways out of the way helps. And we just split the legs. Get these little front bumper sections. Move them up. Can get the tail fin out of the way. Come on. It's just not even move. It's not even moving, but there we go. So we just flip around the arms, and they'll just tab into the smokes like this. I will go into the stomach. Rotate the forearms. Rotate the fists, like so. These front bits will come down. All of this. I'll rotate. Get the head out. Then this will double hinge down. This will double hinge down. The head will tab in. There we go. Get everything straightened. And here we have Astrotrain in robot mode, as per the stock photos, because they apparently believe that he's got purple tits. Really, what you're meant to do is also flip these down. Now we've got him in robot mode, and yeah, this is. Oh. I mean, you can see why this guy got so much backlash when he first got shown off. Because look at the fucking arms. Because, like, normally with Transformers, like, here, I'll bring in Galaxy Shuttle a bit early. Like, normally a Transformers arm looks nice and bulky. Here, for whatever reason, the arms just look weedy. They look noodly. And I have no idea why. Like, I guess they're just sculpted like that to help fit in with the transformation, but that it kind of ruins how he looks, and it really fucks up the proportions. Because it just makes it look like he needs to. He looks like he skipped arm day. Like, legs are pretty decent, although he does stand a bit awkwardly if you don't pose him the right way. But the arms, it just. someone get this guy some anchor arms. But enough rambling. Uh, enough ranting about these godforsaken things aside. If we ignore that, then the rest of the robot mode looks fine, I guess. Like, yeah, he does have some kibble here in the legs. He's got the huge backpack, although, to be fair, that's normal Astrotrain. And I guess I should talk about this. You see how he's standing? Kind of like in this awkward position. Yeah. This guy is kind of a bitch to stand. Like, there we go. See, I try and get him standing like that. Yeah, the feet. Well, at least on my copy, the feet are kind of loose. So, yeah, standing this figure is kind of a bitch sometimes. Anyway, let's just look at the head. Because honestly, the head sculpt I feel is pretty good. Unfortunately, no light piping, but oh well. But I still think it's a pretty nice head sculpt. So, yeah. Now, this figure does have one feature. You remember the tail fin? Well, I can flip up, and then it can fillet open. Come on. And there's some dedicated tabs that goes into, so you can give him a bow tie. So you can give him the chest plate from the original toy. And that has me thinking, maybe this is intended for like a toy accurate deco, maybe a retro Astrotrain down the line. I don't know, because the noodly arms are kind of familiar with the toy Astrotrain, so maybe I don't know. Although there is one issue. If you have the chest plate folded up, there's a noticeable gap in his stomach. Like, so yeah, kind of that's not really good. And besides, he didn't really have this in the show or film, so I just prefer to leave it down. If in the future they do make a toy accurate version, I might have him with the bow tie or the chest plate, but yeah. Honestly, I kind of think he looks a bit better without it, just without that gap in the stomach. Now, of course, we do have the weapons. And if you want to store them, we've got the ports here. Now, one cool thing is the hands can open. Not at the articulation yet, but that's one cool thing I noticed. But yeah, we can hold the toy accurate gun. We can hold the little tiny gun here. But, come on. So yeah, there's no way to combine them, but it is pretty cool. So yeah. And I guess putting him with other Astrotrains, Heroes of Titan's Return, which is pretty much 9 years old by this point. Scary to think about. Ironically, this is a Voyager, and he's taller. Like, he's just a hair taller than the new one. Like, yeah, the sizes are more like just price points now, but still. So, yeah. Next up, we've got the Siege one. Or, well, Galaxy Shuttle in this case. Now, he is in the little, like, platforms from the tender. But still, I think that this guy looks a lot better. He doesn't have the weird kibble on the legs. The arms look a lot better. And honestly, he looks like he stands better too. So yeah, I'm definitely preferring the Siege version. I mean, a lot of people are preferring the Siege version. Honestly, I would have preferred if they just did the Siege figure in a more cartoon accurate deco, but oh well. Oh yeah, the Siege figure had a bunch of guns as well. This guy, this guy only has two. And classics. Not really much to say with classics because that was like the first modern Astrotrain. I'm not going to count the Jetfire. I'm not going to count the Armada Jetfire Astrotrain because that's like Armada Astrotrain. So but there you go. And well, finally, articulation. Head can go side to side. Can nod. Arms can move, although the wings get in the way. So can T-pose. Bicep rotation. Pretty sure that the elbows can do 90 degrees. Wrist swivel. Hands can open. It is a waist swivel, although it's not 100. It's not 360 degrees. It's about there. These panels can open up so he can kick forward. Can't really kick back. Knees are in a bit of a ratchet joint. They go about there. Swivel there at the thigh. He can do the splits. Feet can move. And pivot about there. So yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't have to repeat myself with the complaints because there is a lot of them. Like, train mode doesn't really tab in all too well. Shell mode's just honestly kind of boring. And the robot mode, oh my dear god. So the arms absolutely suck. Trying to stand them can be a bit of a chore because, at least on my copy, the feet are loose. The chest plate option, it's neat, but you're left with a huge gap in the stomach, which you can probably look past that, but still. And honestly, the transformation can be kind of fiddly, especially trying to get everything tabbed in. Compare that with the Siege version, where that was a nice and cohesive transformation for all three modes, and he looked more like, well, the transformation was more cohesive, and the robot mode was more proportioned compared to this guy who he really needs to start doing Arm Day. So, would I recommend this? Dude, just get Siege Astrotrain, okay? Whatever version of the mold, just get Siege Astrotrain, okay? It's a lot better. But in the if you do really want the connected side rods for the train mode, and you really want this guy, just wait for it to go on sale. Because honestly, current price is just, I don't think it's worth it. Like, there are some cool things, but come on. Siege just blows this guy out of the water, or in this case, Siege blows him off the rails. So, yeah. But anyway, this has been my review on Studio Series 86 Astrotrain, and this is a Transformers fan signing off.